Thank you so much for the host and the invitation. Because yesterday we already had one workshop yesterday, but that topic is very mature for me. But this one is a new topic. So if I have some little problem, just tell me. We can discuss with it. But the regulation on data and the data analytic industry in China from the perspective in Fintech. I have 4 parts to discuss with all the people here. And the first part is credit investigation industry and the data analytic industry. What's the connection and the difference of it? Because many people confuse with the two conception or these two things. And the second is development status of China's data analytic industry. And the third is data analytic industry providing service to financial industry. That's one focus I want to talk about today. And the fourth is regulation, the policy construction of China's data analytic industry. What is the prospect of it? The first is the world now is stepping into an area of datafication, and every aspect of people's daily life can be transformed into data resources. But actually, this is not a only modern things. In old days, actually, the human beings had been started connection and analysis of data. But nowadays, because of the internet and we have the internet technology, so more and more people, as we can see, it's like maybe 99% of people are data men, which means your data connected every day. You are very weakest in the world, and for the 1% of those platforms, or they are data connect or data analysis companies or their government. That's one problem. And the world economic forum indicated that the wide attack from one hand, we enjoy the data life and enjoying the efficiency of the government or the platform provided to us. On the other hand, the World Economic Forum indicate that there are a lot of web attack and the data theft or fraud. So now the enterprises have the problems such as extensive connection of personal information and abuse of data and illegal trafficking of personal information, something like that. That's we can say that smoothing in China. If a company crawl or mining the data program happily, sit through the prison, and data play good, then you will eat enough food in prison, which means you can see there's a lot of bad things happened in China. Since September 2019, a storm swept the big data industry in China, leaving the industry on a treadmill. There are a lot of cases. For example, the Hangzhou, the Scorpion Data Technology Corporation was suspected by police and controlled, and the CEO Zhou Jiangxiang was taken away by police investigation. On the same day, and Huang Jiaqiang, CEO of Xinyang Technology, Xinyan Technology is an AI corporation, and was asked by the police to assist in the investigation. On the evening of the September 11th, Hangzhou Chunxing Data Technology Corporation, the entity operating company of Gongxingbao, was seized too. And a lot of company, the bad things happened for this company. And we pay attention to one company, it's Tianyi Credit Investigation Company. Its name is Credit Investigation Company, but actually they are a lot of company have almost the same name like this, but actually they are only data and data analytics company. They are not a credit investigation company, but the name is wrong. Their name are wrong. So let me see what's the problem when you have the wrong name. So the first question is, what's the difference or what's the relationship between the credit investigation industry and the data analytic industry? We'll say the data, there are a lot of data analytic companies in the market, but we only have few credit investigation corporation in the market. For example, the data analytic is also referred to data risk management or data risk control. They do this kind of product and provide service for the financial institutions in China. And the data analytic industry is an emerging industry that is composed of the institutions that connect, analyze, and process personal data according to law, as well as have main business in outputting personal data products and risk management service. So in strict sense, there is distinct difference between the credit investigation industry and the data analytic industry. The two jointly constitute the personal data market. That's the Lai Jingchang in 2019 is one of the leader of the head of the IFC said. But many Chinese people, even Chinese people, confused with these two concepts. It will cause big problem. I will say it later. In order to obtain public trust, many data analytic companies in China usually claim in marketing and promotion that they are emerging, they are engaging credit investigation business, but actually not. Even Jack Ma confused with it. There's one, the Jack Ma make a joke, caused everybody's attention that nowadays, the season 芝麻信用 credit investigation company and created by the Ant Groups is one maybe subsidiary just connected to Alibaba. And the Jack Ma said, nowadays the mother-in-law, how the mother-in-law judge the son-in-law is responsible or is reliable for his daughter before the marriage. The only thing you can do, or you could do, is to check the scores of the season scores, 芝麻的分, the scores. Then you can tell it's a good person or not. Then you can trust your son-in-law. So maybe that's a joke. And Jack Ma laughed. In China, there's the CEO of the Baidu company said, nobody care about privacy in China. So you just connect data from the individuals, please, and develop your industry. But this, and what he said caused all the market attention and make a mess in the market. At that time, everybody just cursed the CEO of that company. The Baidu was in a risk situation at that time. And today, the people have come to understand more deeply that credit will be more valuable than money wealth. The credit is actually equal to your business life. So everybody knows the credit is very important. But those companies in China, we call that big 8 company. This Seasm Credit Management Corporation and Tencent Credit Reporting Company, and Shenzhen and Qianhai Credit Reference Center Corporation, and Penyuan, and there's one Cola Credit Reporting Company. Those big 8 companies made a long time, long period preparation. What they do is what they want is to get a license of a credit license from the central bank. But what's the result? You can guess what's the result. The result is in 2018, February 22, there's one company got this license. Not the big 8, but there's one company. The Baihang Credit Investigation Corporation has obtained approval to apply for the establishment of a personal credit agency. So but where is the other big 8? The China Internet Finance Association have the 86% of shares, and the 8 enterprises hold 64% of the equities in total. So that's 100% for this company. So let us see what's the relation between the credit investigation industry and data analytical industry. Before it's different. So only the Baihang can get this license. Why the other companies, a lot of companies in the market? I just name this 8 because they are so big. But they have big difference. The data analytical companies can obtain data from credit investigation companies and then integrate them with their own data and generate the professional data analytical products with their own characteristics. So, and the credit bureau there are only, let me see, only 200 maybe all over the world tax bureaus in the world. That's why the central bank only give one company this license, because it's very hard. They use different regulation to regulate it. So, they targeting different regulatory requirements. A credit investigation company may set up a data analytic company as its own subsidiaries to connect and store various data obtained from different channels. And then after that, make some classification, retrievals, and screening, and then develop the in-depth mining and generate products. And based on business development needs, the credit investigation company and the data analytics company generally would have cooperation in many business aspects. The analytic company can provide credit institutions with some analysis service and tools, including algorithm simulation, model development, analysis tool, product design, electronic identity datafication and industrial solutions, something like that. The credit investigation industry is relatively narrow, I just mentioned. And generally, it includes 2 levels. The one is credit bureau, and other is specialized companies. But altogether, very few in the world, because we have more than 200 countries and regions in the world. But we only have 200 credit bureaus and the specialized companies. And but for the data and the data analytic companies, there are a lot. Even I think maybe the Virginia, your company would be a data or data analytic company. And many consulting companies are data analytic company. If they store the data or make some analysis, they belong to this market. Yes, here is the number. There is no more than 200 personal credit bureaus across the globe, including 74 direct credit bureaus and government agencies, and about 120 private credit bureaus all over the world. And the market participants in data analytics field are many big data companies, fintech companies, and some companies engaging in risk management and consulting service activities. So in China, there are we mostly I divided it into 3 groups. The one is the the one is only the data company. The other type is the data and the analytic, and the other is they only provide some analytic service. So they are analytic companies. So for management model, both of them are applicable to the basic principles and generally solutions for personal data and the privacy protections. Due to the particularly of credit investigation industry, many regulations for personal data protection are actually not applicable to credit bureaus. We have to pay attention to this. For example, the credit bureau in many countries and regions don't need to consent from involved person when connect personal information. So, which means if you got the license as a credit investigation company, which means your main regulation regulate you are from maybe from the central bank or from some other very special government agency, but not the EU's GDPR, not that one, because the model is different. The model is like they have a lot of members for this credit investigation company, and all the members at the maybe every month or every 3 months they have to submit their data, and this data is very limited. So they not like other data or data analytical industries, they connect all the time, connect the data all the time, and then analysis it, make use of it, maybe sell them to the third party all the time. So it's different. So the larger amount of data company has to comply with the law, like the general data protection law. So in China, 2019 October, we don't have the general data protection law right now, but our legislative committee just make some now prepare for it. So, but the different department legislate different kind of law. But here, what I have to I want to emphasize is one guideline like this, but it's a draft, not enacted to the public right now. And it's a personal financial information protection pilot measures. The details exposed it's a little bit opaque, and this guideline is a little bit opaque, not transparent to all the publicity right now. But they get some opinions and views from from one-to-one to ask your questions or opinions from different institutional financial institution, just one by one. Now, this information leaked out a little bit and make a lot of suspicions, and people suspected, this draft, the approach defines what personal financial information is. It covers a wide range of consent, including personal information of the original information and the extended information. You see the Article 2, such as identity information, including account information, financial information, and so on. All are personal information, which means only financial institution or the institution authorized by the central bank can collect the individual's information, which means the other data and data analytic corporation have no place to live, right? They couldn't survive, so everybody worried. But the situation is opaque. They don't know what happened. They can got this by rumors or gossip with each other. That's a big problem. So, some of the entrepreneurs asked me what happened, and I said, maybe you confused with these two different category of the category of industry. The one is credit investigation companies. Another is data and data analytic companies. It's different, so don't worry too much about it. So the misunderstanding is the most difficult point in the measures is that, except for the credit investigation agency established in accordance with the law, no entity or individual may engage in the collection and handling of personal financial information or provide personal credit reporting business without the approval of the People's Bank of China, which means, but the measures provide that financial institutions may conduct business through outsourcing service, but the requirement for outsourcing service is higher, whereby the financial institution shall conduct sufficient investigation and review and evaluate the capability of outsourcing service companies, which means those data and data analytic corporations can survive in the market, but because of there's no general data protection law in China right now, so the central bank have no privilege to enact the general law like that. So the central bank only have the power to supervise the financial institutions. So they transfer the obligation to those financial institutions. Which means they let the banks to supervise the other corporation. The banks to guarantee that the data you connect or you buy are all good data. Otherwise, the banks should take the responsibility. So the and the use of information demands includes the demands of credit market and the demands of non-credit market. The credit bureaus and the data analytic companies can both serve as the provider of information and provide data by facing different demanders. So we can see there are lots of difference in basic concept of these two industries. The credit investigation means the activities of connecting, organizing, storing, and processing the credit information of natural persons, the legal persons, and other organizations according to the law, as well as providing credit report, credit evaluation, and consultation and other service. But they have, as well as helping clients judge and control credit risk. It sounds like the same function with the data analytics company, but the data analytic companies are more flexible, and they can analyze and mine the massive, diversified, real-time, and valuable data, and to use technical means to design the evaluation model, algorithm, and make some profile of the credit subject in multiple dimensions. And so they can be very accurately to send the advertisement to those individuals or companies to reflect default rate and something like that. So you can see there are other differences, like the credit investigation implements membership system. But for the data company, seldom use the membership system. And their members regularly provide a credit bureau with authentic, accurate, and related credit data, or share credit data through inquiry. So, for the data company or data analytic companies, there's no membership system in data analytic industry, and there's no necessary data sharing requirement. So you can see the credit investigation companies or platform or corporations, they have to share their data or information with others if someone satisfied with the requirement of the law. You have to share the information with them, with others, the third party. But for the data or data analytic companies, they are only the business. It's like a business company or businessman. They have no requirement to do the data sharing the requirement. What they do is like they can sign or some contract according to the law, or there are two companies, maybe they just use algorithm to put the data together, and they got some result output of it, but both of them never touch the data. So something like that, according to this, they can comply with the privacy law. And credit bureau have special data template and data dictionary, follow the purpose of limited connection. There are few dimensions of data connection. Most are sourced from no field or financial field. But the data analytic companies can connect all kinds of data. Some of them may be the health data. Some of them may be sell the data to the insurance company. I used to go. I go to, for example, I go to a. It's not a gym. It's like a gym, but they have a lot of subsidiaries all over the China. But every time when I go there, I will take a risk, right? And all the data maybe will send back to the headquarters of that corporation. But at first, I feel a little bit suspect with it. I think how can you send all the data back to your company? But I don't care too much because they don't need my real name. They just need my nickname. So I think it's okay. But after 1 year, when I go to that place again, and they said you have to register your own name. Otherwise, you couldn't use this service or couldn't come here. When you're accustomed to this sports or your daily life, you have to sign your name on it or registered, which means they connect this data. But the problem is, I don't know where they send my data to. Maybe to an insurance company, maybe that's good. But I don't know, maybe to some underground deals. Oh, that's awful. I couldn't imagine that. That's a lot. We can detect a lot of difference in operating or logic models. They are different in protection of consumer rights and interests. For credit bureaus are subject to very strict regulation for some specific, so we don't worry too much about them. The GDPR, something like that, never applied to this kind of corporation. And for most data analytical companies, haven't established special handling or controlling mechanism for consumer disputes, claims, corrections, something like that. But for some big companies, for example, the Ant Group, they have another algorithm for the consumer disputes, which means 90% of the disputes are solved by this algorithm. This algorithm it's like a Uber system. So like some pull together, this system have a lot of individuals as a jury. You know, every time the jury is different. They just use this algorithm to put people together to solve this problem. So 90% disputes are solved on the platform. Only few go to the court. Some other differences like credit bureau are applicable to credit market regulatory mechanism. But the data analytical company basically don't implement license management. They needn't license. They don't need license at all. But many corporations want the license because the license is money in China. If you got the license, even you never operate anymore, you can sell this license. It's very, very expensive. But they don't need it, the data and the data analytical company. I have to make it faster. The organizational structure of data analytical industry currently based on the characteristic of output products and service. Chinese data analytical enterprise can be generally classified into three categories: the technological type, data type, and the data and the technology type. The first is like for the technology type, mostly, I skip this, the characteristic of this type, the companies most of them cooperate with the national authorities, such as the Ministry of Public Security, the GAIC, and Airline or Bureau of Social Security, etc., in providing inquiry of basic ID certificate information of citizens and bank card information, something like that. And some of the companies, they connect the data and they generate a lot of data themselves, and then use the data to make some analysis and sell them, or provide the service to the banks or other financial institutions. Most of them connect the data and then provide some risk control service to the financial institutions. There are some upstream of this data companies. For example, they connect. I just mentioned connect identity. Some social media like WeChat connect a lot of data, and some consumption behavior. There are a lot of consumptive finance corporations. They connect this kind of data, and then they cooperate with the government to connect some data when people have some relations or have some behavior data with the government, and then go to the middle stream of the corporation, like the big data corporation, like some cloud computing corporation, like some AI corporation in this middle stream. And the downstream of the corporations, most of them are application corporations. Some of them just produce reports or produce some reports or some applications or analytic tools, or provide some asset management products or industry intelligence products, or provide service for some P2P platform, something like that. We just skip this, but the big question here, the first is how to obtain the expressed consent for those data analytic companies of the individuals during the personal financial information connection and other stage. How can people connect them? Because there is one rule in China is the consent. You got the consent of each individuals, then you can connect the data. So we have the small question like, do every Chinese people not care about their privacy? Is that true? Actually, it's not true. People care about it, and different group of people have different opinions. We do some investigation in this area. And the consent and the connect principle, is that correct? In all the situation, in some situation, for example, if you have some legal basis to connect the data, or connecting data is a precondition of your contract, then you have to, if you want to implement the contract, you have to connect the data. Then you needn't make everybody consent with it, right? Because that's very naturally if you ask everybody to consent with it. And are there any exceptions? Yeah, we do have a lot of exceptions actually. And the second is in the middle stream. The middle stream, data analytical enterprise are the most critical link in the data analytical industry chain, because we use some big data, AI, and cloud computing technology to analyze those data. Maybe we use like this, so the middle part is very important. And those are all key words of the whole system. And when we got everybody's individuals data, the first thing that every corporation need to do is clean the data, and then let the machine learning to screening the data. And after that, they have to deal with different variants and to make sure what variants you need, what you don't need. So minimization to make use of it, which means you just couldn't connect, access, or connect the more data that you need. That's very important. And then cross-validate of your data to keep it correct or accurate. And at last, the algorithm or model produce the new model. These are all keywords of this process. So the big question too is like, under what circumstance should personal financial information security be assessed? So all the data is completely washed or coded. How to prove you are washed or those data cannot be recovered? There are some cases in China right now. Some data, those data companies said, oh, we cleaned all the data, but actually they can be recovered. Or those data, they can, if you put those data into a pool, after the analysis of it, those data can be recovered or directly referred to individuals. So that's dangerous. And can individual keep their rights to contest or keep their right to be forgotten, something like that. Yes, in different situations, in different circumstances, and different cases have this different explain of it. So that's why in this area, in the privacy and data protection area, we have to check all the cases happened, the new cases in China and all over the world, because it's much difficult to analyze who is the owner of the data. It's very flexible, you know. So we need, yesterday I mentioned we need maybe soft law than the hard law. Because it's too soft, and in different situations they have different explanation. So the last stage is the downstream of the data. They make use of and produce reports, applications, analytic, asset management, industry intelligence, and service for those P2P or crowdfunding or the third-party payment platform to do those the crowd and connection system, something like that. So it can be class. The last part, the downstream of the service, can be classified into financial, governmental, commercial, public, and individual fields based on the industrial sector and the nature of application providers. Especially in the financial sector, we do some research in this area. The banking includes the bank rating and other rating reports, and the data analytic reports and financial situation surveys, some different. As of May 2018, the Credit Investigation Center had established a unified credit file for 970 million natural persons, their data. But this one is a credit investigation center, okay? It's owned or have some relationship with the central bank. But I think this one is a credit bureau in China. And another one got the license is another credit investigation, the Baihang Zhenxing, the Baihang Corporation. I just mentioned at the beginning of this speech. But you can see they are still, because we have like 1,300 million people in China. So many people don't have these reports. What is the report from? Maybe you can get a score from the season scores from those data or data analytic companies. So both of them combine. Both of them contributed to the whole market, the data market or credit market, but they are different and different law to regulate it. So the question 3 is to ensure the compliance of the upstream and midstream customers, the partners or subcontractors through the contracts and periodic inspection mechanism. How can a company avoid being forced to bear the liabilities due to any third party's reason? That means the third party who provides the data or who provides the data analytic service, sometimes they violate the law. But who will take the responsibility? The institutional, the financial institution, the bank, or the P2P platform, or the third party? Because we don't have the data protection law. That level, we don't have that. But we have some different guidelines. I make a list, is almost 200 guidelines of different departments. Most of them country makes a conflict with each other. So that's a big problem. Who takes the responsibility? And this area is very, very ambiguity. And so have big problem in this area. And now, what should the government do? The government do the same thing as the Fintech regulation, as I mentioned yesterday at that workshop. The government used the whack-a-mole method to deal with this problem, and they stopped data mining service. For example, this 5一信用卡 is a big company. We call that it's a big company. And that company was founded 7 years ago. It's China's leading credit card bill management company. We call that internet finance unicorn. And every corporation wants to be unicorn like this. But it was reported on the October 21st this year. This company's headquarters was investigated by the police. Many people and the information were taken away, and its CEO Shen Haitao has been taken to assist in the investigation. And this corporation's public relations department didn't do a good job. So the shares price dropped dramatically afterwards. So pushed this corporation into a real crisis. We have a lot of problems here. And a lot of questions here. What to mine? When or what we could crawl or mine the data from the individuals or corporations by those kind of algorithm or software. How do you mine, or how to use the mining data? It's a big problem. So we can see the Article 17 of the Administrative Measures for Data Security is a draft issued by the State Internet Information Office. Because it's a draft, so not public right now. When a network operator accesses the website, because it's hard to detect it's legal or illegal, so the access way, in Chinese access way is like this. If the they connect the data exceeds the 1/3 of the daily average data of the website, it's illegal. You will see that. Does it make sense? So you can connect maybe 30%, but not 33% is okay. So, so the network operator shall stop that behavior. So you can connect no more than 1/3 of that data is illegal. So people will ask another question: do China have the law to prevent the crime or that? Okay. So we have a lot of criminal law, like the 1, 2, 3, 4, the endanger the securities of computer information system, illegal acquiring citizens' personal information, illegal obtain business secret. Those are crimes and damaging technical protective measures for copyright. Not criminal law. How about the civil law? Illegal result like unfair competition. They use the competition law, infringement on copyright, and infringement on the right of personality. I'm so sorry. I don't think I have enough time. But the last two part is like how the China's data analytic industry, especially for the which provide a service for the financial institution. So the same logic of it. And now the Chinese government, like the central bank, let the banks or the financial corporations institutions take the responsibility to take care of all the data are legal. It's nowadays logic, but we have much more further thoughts on it, because I remain there, my PPT here. But if you want this PPT for your research, you can keep it. But because this PPT is totally a new one, and maybe I will cooperate with Ms. Huang for the further research and write maybe a paper or something, and welcome everybody to some comments or questions. Thank you so much.